Hey, what is up, my peeps? This is your boy Vanara Scott, Sir ANIV KRANE himself. This podcast is called Sir ANIV KRANE Speaks on my production company, Crane Style Forever. Today we're going to be talking about fatherhood. Great subject. We have one guest so far. I will introduce him a little bit later. But first, as you guys know, I got to start off with the intro, the theme song.
Calling all heroes, crank it up, let's go. Crane Style Forever, lights up every show. Gomeroi rising, blades and blazing skies, blackjacks climbing high as the beanstalk scrapes the sunrise. Crane Style Forever, turn the wild ideas loose. From Planet Furball's crazy crew to the heretic kitten on the moon. Crane Style Forever, where the stories come alive. Every world, every fight with a spark that starts your Saturday ride. Crane Style Forever. I say Crane Style Forever.
All right. Like I said, my name is Vanara, Sir ANIV KRANE himself. This is Sir ANIV KRANE Speaks On podcast on Crane Style Forever Productions. We have one guest. If you would like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, I'm Dion. I'm retired, and you see I'm sitting in my studio, so I'm currently engaged in music production. So that's my thing I do now. I have a music production company, Ding Music. That's DING MUZIK. Produce tracks for myself and others. And you can find me on all the social platforms. You can find me on what am I on? I am on Threads, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Ding Music, DING MUZIK.
Okay. Is this right here? Is that it? Is that how you spell it?
No, that's no DING MUZIK, like ding and then music.
Oh, Ding DING MUN.
MUZIK.
And it's at Gmail, right?
Yes.
And it's Dion. You want me to put your last name?
You can, yeah.
What's your last name again?
Ingram, INGRAM.
Okay. And right there. Did I get it correct?
MUZIK.
MUZIK. I have the same problem with another gentleman. He spells his music thing a little bit differently as well. Make sure I give you the correct shout out. All right. Let's see if I got it right now.
That's it.
All right. We are what they say, we cooking with gas, or we cooking with grease now. All right. So today we will be talking about fatherhood. You don't have to. I know this is the internet. A lot of people don't want to shout out personal information. Sir, do you have any kids, their ages, anything you want to say about them? Give them shout outs or anything?
Yeah, I have a 30-year-old son and a 15-year-old daughter.
Oh, all right. I love that. Myself, I am a loving father to 5 altogether. I have a stepdaughter. She's, even though me and her mother are no longer together, she still stays with me. She's a great addition to our family. I've been taking care of her since she was 3. So yes, I know that's a controversial subject with a lot of people. Our stepchildren, your children, she's mine. You know what I'm saying? So, I love her just as much as I love the rest of my children. You know what I'm saying? So we can get into subjects like that. There'll be a time at the end where you guys can add questions and comments about fatherhood. But before we get started, we need to go through a couple of things. We have some gentlemen that will be joining. So some of these things I'm going to go over again and again. We're going to start off with the rules. Number one, and I'm not saying this towards you or anybody else. For anybody who's watching, who wants to comment, who wants to come on here as accountable. Number one, watch your language. Please watch your language. I know every now and then we let out some H words and some D words, but this is not a podcast, especially this one. This is supposed to be family friendly. Please watch your language. Okay. I don't care what you call your buddies on the streets or whatever words that are seemed as slang. Don't use them here. Okay. Watch your language. No talks of politics, please. Avoid talks of anything sexual. I know that without that, we wouldn't be fathers. However, let's leave the graphic details. If you would like to talk about something pertaining to that, my homeboy Marzell Paler, he will be on a little bit later. He has the Nothing Serious podcast. It's today. I'm not exactly sure. I think 1 or 2 o'clock he's going to have his podcast. Just get back with me. You can message me, or when he gets on here, you can curse all you want to, talk explicitly all you want to, but this is not the place. Let's see. And very important just for this podcast, we're talking about fatherhood, our relation as men to our children. Okay. Some of us are single right now, single fathers. Let's not do the whole bashing our partners type thing. Okay. So, how we feel about fathers, loving fathers. Okay. Not what happened with our past relationships. Okay. So just wanted to get that out of the way. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start off on a sad note, though. Let me see if I can bring it up. Those of you who, and I'm going to give shout outs and stuff too as well. However, for those of you who know me, one of my favorite movies of all times is The Five Heartbeats. Okay. Unfortunately, I learned this morning that the individual who played the part of Eddie Kane Jr., Michael Wright, he passed away today at the age of 70. Very sad news, very sad news. He played in a lot of other roles. I remember him in that movie. I forgot, it had Chris Tucker and it had Charlie Sheen in it. I forgot the name of that movie, but he did a great job in that role as well. My condolences to his family, friends, and fans. Me being a big fan of his, and as y'all all know, nobody can sing like Eddie Kane, K-A-N-G. Even though it's King, Eddie Kane. That's how we say it. So my condolences out to them. So let's just get started, and then, like I said, the other people when they show up, we will just what's the name? Catch up. So let me ask you this question, Dion. I've heard this a million times where people say, anybody can be a daddy, but it takes a man to be a father. And then some people say just the opposite. You know what I'm saying? Like a father or a daddy is the one who stays at the house, and the father is just, some title that you get just for doing the do with a woman and then having a baby. You know what I'm saying? Then I hear the term baby daddy, which means, you're not active in the child's life. You're just the biological father. So in your opinion, what is the difference between a father and a dad?
I don't know if there is a difference, because I guess it comes down to semantics. It's, I guess we could have that discussion, go back and forth, but it's really not so. The title is not as important as the role. And because you could say, hey, I'm a father and I do this, and I'm a dad. And I don't know, I'm sure the dictionary has a definition, or maybe it has the same definition for both of them. I mean, they're kind of like the same thing, but it's kind of like a semantics thing. But I think what's more important is the role that you play. And the difference, is if you're an effective father or dad, like it's about being intentional. Like you're you're serving a purpose. You're not just there because yeah, it's easy to make a kid and you can even be in the house with the kid and not be impactful. I
Mm,
think it's like you're like a life coach. So are you coaching this kid through the different phases and different things, or are you just there?
mm.
And it's a
See,
lot more than just paying for stuff. It goes beyond the financial because you can be fortunate that you make good money and say, okay, everything's covered. I got to be, yeah, we got a house and you got clothes and all this other stuff. But are you coaching?
coaching. Would you say like for coaching would include like giving life advice or and I saw a commercial one time, a long time ago, where they had this, I guess it was about adopting children, and it says you don't have to be a perfect parent. And it had the dad, and he was cooking and he burnt the food, and then the child was smiling like, Dad. And he was like, You ain't got to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Would you agree?
He's only going to get away with that, but so many times the kids gonna be like, "Hey, man, stop burning our food." Like, yeah, it's cute the first couple of times. After a while, it's like, "Dad, not for real. You gotta get this together. We tired of eating burnt food." um, no, it's not. It's about what you can teach that child. It's like one of the things I used to always tell my son, and I tell my daughter now is that because she's a teenager, it's like you're on a path. You're trying to navigate this path. And my job is to, because I've already navigated this path, so I kind of know the hazards of it and where it goes. I've come back to help you navigate it. And because for you to try to navigate it on your own, the odds of you doing it successfully is very small because you may end up going in a direction that you don't want to go in or need to go in, and you don't understand that till it's too late. So I'm here to help you with all the things I know in life and what I understand. To also give you room to kind of be your own person and grow, but to help you and just keep you going in the right direction. And sometimes, as we all know as parents, uh, and I'm sure our parents will attest to it too, where we're helping people that don't always know that they need help or they don't want the help. They don't, at 15 you don't get it. You don't get it till you're older. I can definitely say that for myself as a somebody's parent and somebody's child.
Mm. Mm. That's a good little point. We're going to elaborate on that one, especially about the teenager part, teaching kids the stuff that they don't want to. And then they get rebellious around the teenage age and be like, well, I know everything. And times were different when you were a child. So things are different now. So I have to go my own route and teach myself, But from my viewpoint, things really don't change. I mean, the conditions change, like bullying. You got bullying. Bullying's been happening, even 1900s and our great grandparents' age, but it just changed formats because now we have like internet and stuff like that, text messaging. But bullying still exists. Just what they say, same stuff, different toilet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we'll get into that one later. We're gonna go through these questions. Like I said, we'll go over the rest of them once the other ones show up. So let's go to question 2. Oh, by the way, did you have any other further elaboration or thoughts on the difference between a father and a dad?
No, I mean, and I've seen that before too, where let's say like, the difference is like, hey, are you a dad? Or are you a father? And I mean, I guess really what it comes down to is father's like a legal term because if you're looking at any documents or anything that you sign, like like a birth certificate or anything that relates to the family, it's always father. You never see dad on there. I think dad is just a derivative of father. It'd be
Right.
almost the same as father, dad, pop, you know, like I said, the title was not as important as the role.
Right, right. What they say, action, like love is an action. It's something
Hmm.
that you do. It's just not a word. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I totally feel you on that one. And that's the way I see it. Father is the technical term. You know what I'm saying? It's the sophisticated term. Dad is more like, I'm there, I'm active, I've been doing stuff. You know what I'm saying? So, um, yeah, I will agree with you. Let's go to the next question. Is it easier, in your opinion, to raise boys or girls? And the reason why I'm asking this question, because the old saying is it's mama's boy and daddy's little girl. The girls always listen to the dad, and their dad is their first male in their life, that they look up to. So they listen to them, and the boy always listens to their mom because they're closer to him or whatever. What's your opinion?
I would say at the phase we're at now, my daughter's 15, and like I said, my son's 30, and uh, my ex-wife, she had two boys, and they were a little bit older than my son. So I've raised in my life, I've raised three boys, and I met them when they were little, so I raised them all the way from them being like little boys to adults. And I would definitely say, from my experience and some of the conversations I've had with other dads, that raising girls is a lot more challenging.
Mm, mm. Yeah, I would.
A
Well,
lot.
I'm a little biased because I've only had girls. I got five girls, so I don't know how it is how to raise boys. Of course, I had nephews and different young men in the neighborhood, but it's a lot different when they're your own and you have to take care of them.
And you
Um,
still got all your hair.
what'd you say?
You still got all your hair.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I'm gonna give it up to them vitamins and supplements I
Yes.
take, and that's the only reason why I still got hair. I'm trying to keep it up there, brother. I swear. Um, it's a challenge, because and I know that nowadays, I might get ridiculed by saying this is sexist or stereotypical. I don't know how to take this, you know what I'm saying? But I don't know how others are going to take it rather. But it seems to me, from my experience, females are more emotional, and they've made videos. Even females have made videos about how you have a repairman coming, and he was like, okay, well, here's you said this is the problem, this is how much it's going to take to fix it, this is what I got to do. And the woman's like, no, you don't understand. I've been without food for the last week and it's made me sad. And it was like, yeah, yeah, okay, but I can fix it, it'll take 3 hours. No, you don't understand. Friends came over and then their refrigerator works all the time, and it was like, no, no, okay, okay, here's the solution to your problem. And the females would constantly, spout out something emotional. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess emotionally, especially me as a man, I have to let go of my emotion and listen to them, because I'll give them a solution and say, hey, here's the solution. And they'll still, want me to emotionally connect with them, you know? So, and plus with
Well, actually,
females,
what you have to do is turn your emotions on, because I think we're both veterans, correct?
yep, we are.
And so that's a factor too, because I come from, I'm a Marine, so I come from that Marine Corps background. And the Marines, it's all about like, hey, what needs to be done? Like the emotional side of things is not a factor. Like nobody cares about how you feel about this or whatever. What needs to be done. And you're gonna learn how to bottle that up and get past it.
Mm, mm. Okay, okay. Yeah, you have to dig a little deeper, into the, with the. I won't say it's a feminine side, because we as male have emotions as well. You know what I'm saying? I know that I'm veering off into another subject, but nowadays they tell us, well, when I was growing up, they told men that we need to bottle up our emotions, and um, I'm trying not to veer off into the relationship side. We could talk about that on Marzel's podcast for those who are watching who would like to join in. But that's a good comment that you made. Um, and of course, it's more expensive. Our children are expensive, but I think it's. You give me your opinion. I think it's more expensive for females because they have certain personal hygiene items that have to be bought,
Yeah.
um, certain extra clothing that has to be bought, under their regular clothing. Um, and of course, you got your hair fixing, you got to fix the hair up and stuff. So, um,
Let me
I
tell
don't
you,
know.
my daughter has braids, and well, it changes. So my son, for the most part, especially when he was like under 18, I would either take him to the barber or I would cut it. Depends on how I was feeling. If I took him to the barber back then, it was probably about $15, $20. But it was simple.
Hmm.
It's like we sit in the chair, we could be in and out in 20, 30 minutes. Easy. It was cheaper with girls, like say for braids. It's hours. It's 3, 4 hours. It definitely ain't $20. It's hundreds. And in so many weeks it's gonna be done again. So you can't braids are not gonna last for like 6 months.
Right.
So it's a constant thing, and all the other things you said that they need. Boys don't need like the extra hygiene stuff, and a shirt and some underwear and pants and socks and shoes, and that's it.
Right.
They don't need the
Right.
extra undergarments and all this other stuff and things that that women need. So yeah, I think economically, boys are definitely, from a finance standpoint, boys are definitely uh, easier on your pockets.
A whole lot easier,
Mhm.
Ugh. And, of course, me being a single father, I have to constantly, get advice on, and little tips every now and then, you keep in mind you're dealing with girls, you can't do this way and you have to keep this in mind. So it's a bit of a challenge. I put it to you that way. So I guess it's a matter of perspective of what you're talking about, because it, it's been said many a times with boys, once you raise them, they're very quiet and, they're very curious and, you wonder why they're so quiet. It was a meme I saw, it was a video, and then everybody was running around screaming and yelling. And then the kids suddenly got quiet. Then the parents got up and ran like something was wrong. So
Hmm.
once it gets too quiet, that's when you got to check up on boys because they might be
Yeah.
doing some crazy
Well,
stuff.
especially if they're little. Yeah, little, because anytime little boys, I'm gonna say under 10 are quiet, they're either asleep or they're up to something.
Hmm. I would think so. I would think so. Yeah, we're gonna get on that question a little bit later too. But let's go to the next question. All right. What frustrates you more, or what is the greatest challenge about being a father? What is one of the hardest choices a father can make? So you can answer either one of those questions in any way, shape, form, or fashion you would like to answer that.
Hmm. My frustration more is the greatest challenge about being a father. Um, hmm. That's a good question. Man, that's a thinker. I think off the top of my head, I think it is when you like sometimes in life and even with your kids, you have to like put on the jerk hat. You have to be like, and it's another term I use, but I'm gonna keep it friendly. But it's like the jerk, and you have to do that because you're you're trying to impart upon them something like a lesson or something like that. Because it doesn't work if you're always happy go lucky and the nice guy and stuff like that. Sometimes and it's and a lot of it, it's like lessons from boot camp. Not that I'm running a boot camp here, but there's a lot of lessons, a life lessons you could take from boot camp on, especially how to raise your kids. Because one of the things they do in boot camp is they work at getting you. They're trying to train you to be something, but you're held accountable for something. And when you mess up on something, you're held accountable for it. And sometimes my balance is, because I'm pretty easygoing, my challenge is to, is this something I need to worry about? Is this something that, because I can't just dismiss everything and like, oh, that's no big deal. That's no big deal. But I can't also be the person that every little thing I'm on her about. Like, hey, Like one of the things I'm big on is keeping your room clean. So
Right.
the balance is like, hey, if I see it not clean this time, I might not say nothing. But if I see it, for like the second or third time, then I may say something. So it's trying to find the balance of, I think like the challenge is trying to figure out what who do you need to be at what point, because sometimes you need to be the nice guy and you need to be the comfort them and console them, and sometimes you need to get on them and be on them, and depends on what it is. Kind of hard. My daughter is, she does well in school. She has, so she's not a problem kid. We don't have any problems out of her other than typical teenage stuff. The people at school, they speak about her greatly. So we don't definitely have any problems, thank goodness. But still, with kids, it's just trying to determine, and I've had to do this with all my kids, where trying to determine who do I need to be at that point, because sometimes they do need to understand, because that's how life is that sometimes, like say if you're on the job or whatever, sometimes you might get some grace from your employer, your or supervisor, or whatever, on something that you maybe didn't do right or messed up. And sometimes somebody's gonna, depends on what it is, you mess up big enough, they're gonna get on you.
Right.
So that's the challenge, the balance of who do I need to be right now. And I can tell you, I think my daughter benefits sometimes, and I think this applies to all of us, is where it's probably something you should address, something that you could address, maybe nothing major. You just don't feel like it. You just like, you know what? I, I've had a long day. I'm tired. I don't even feel like talking about this. And you see that room is not clean, and you're like, you know what? Not today. I ain't even got it in me today. So
Man, you speaking to the choir right now, man. Because I've gotten that before. Like they say, "Hey, Venars, you just a pushover. You too easy going." Well, when this child did that, or even like other individuals, it was like you should have got got more aggressive with that person. Or when she does this, you need to tell her and blah blah blah. And I'm the same way. I'm like I have to pick my battles because I have so much energy. I don't have energy to fight 20 million battles. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad you brought that up about cleaning because everybody knows I'm a clean freak. I do laundry every day. Every time I'm done with my shower, I spray my walls and clean it off. But that brings me to a question that I should have brought up. It was a fun question that I wanted to bring up initially. Like, and this is fun, which TV dad do you personally connect with? Okay. And so here is a list. Yes, sir.
that's hilarious.
So let's go through the TV dads. The top left hand corner, we got Carl Winslow of Family Matters. We got what's that? Philip Banks. We got Heathcliff Huxtable, Archie Bunker. Then we got Danny Tanner. We're talking about cleaning. I know we probably connect with him a little bit. Then the next one, we got Bernie from the Bernie Mac Show, Michael Kyle, Julius from Everybody Hates Chris, James from Good Times. Then at the bottom, we got Matt from what's his name? Sister.
Yes.
And then we got Pops from the let me take this off here.
Wayne's brothers.
Yeah, Wayans Brothers. And then we got Frank from Moesha, and then we got Red from That 70s Show. So from your opinion, which dad, and you can name a lot of them, you might say I'm 70% this one and 30% the other one. Which one would you say, or which dads closely resemble you?
So I'm gonna say this from the top. The one that I think admire the most, I would say, would be my all-time favorite TV dad was James.
Woo,
James,
yes, sir.
yeah. James was. I think society won't allow it to be James anymore. Though you probably don't see too many James around left. But James was James was he was a bad dude. James was hilarious. But he was a good dad, though. He was like, he had a lot of moral fiber in him and stuff. But I would say for me, I like, I think, and I'm sure other people, this is me on the inside looking out, but I'm sure anybody else looking on the outside looking in would say maybe different. But I think maybe Bernie Mac's character and
Okay.
and uh, Heathcliff.
Heathcliff. Okay. Yeah, I would say too, Heathcliff. I aspire to be like Heathcliff because I'm super goofy and but I'm still authoritative. I've heard people tell me that, when I get frustrated and I start fussing, I'm like Red from 70 Show, you know, where he be saying the DA word, he would call everybody a DA. And I
Hmm.
was like, I just don't see that. You know what I'm saying? But I like to say Heathcliff. A little Carl Winslow too, you know what I'm saying? Like he's super goofy, always dancing, but he can get down and dirty. He be like, hey, Eddie, you need to do this and do that, and I'm not taking this. You know what I'm saying? He was a cop. Then, about 5%, 10%, I'm Danny because I'm a clean freak. So personal hygiene, cleaning the house, and I get frustrated like you do when I don't see it clean. You know what I'm saying? So I would, yeah. So just me. You know what I'm saying?
I
So
think Heathcliff. I think the thing that I admired about his character was that he was always trying to uh, give you a lesson and understand the value of whatever it is he was trying. And he had different ways of doing it. He had very direct ways of doing it, and he had some indirect ways. And I think probably one of the most memorable ones is when he sat down with what was Malcolm Jamal Warner's character?
Theo.
Theo. He sat down with Theo with the Monopoly money, and he was talking about the cost of life. And I remember when my ex-wife's boys, when they were teenagers, we went through a scenario like that, and I sat them down at a table with a paper and pen and said, "Hey, how much do you think it costs to live? Like how much?" And we went through all the expenses and everything, and they learned pretty quickly. Like, hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up?
But they
Hey,
learned pretty quickly about the lesson that he was teaching about, hey, life is expensive, and if you ain't got it together, you might have some problems.
yes, sir. I remember that as well. Let me introduce my homeboy Lamar Hicks. He has a podcast as well. Let me right here, the L Dog himself, Lamar Hicks. He has a podcast. It's just like music podcast. By the way, brother, Dion, this is Lamar. Lamar, this is Dion.
How you doing?
What's going on? What's going on?
Dion, we have a we call it the triad of the podcast. I do mostly nostalgic stuff from the 80s and 90s, mostly TV shows, video games, movies. Lamar does music. And like I mentioned before, my boy Marzel, he does sex and relationships. So I just want to give a shout out to Lamar right quick. He has a book out really quick. Different skin, same silence. And it kind of goes according to what we're talking about today, the struggle and healing of men. And I'm sure it crosses over. Well, you correct me, Lamar. Does this book cross over into fatherhood?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, it talks about raising kids. Um, Men have they have the part of trying to balance the money, financial part, holding down the job, and trying to balance between job and family. So when you are you're being the dad, you basically have to do just that. And because you don't want to make your kid feel like that he or she is being left out. We
Mm-hmm.
all know that we got responsibilities and being a father, and but at the end of the day, we have to understand that there's a balance. We have to take care of the family, financially, make sure everything is good to go. But especially if you have either a little one like I have or a teenager, you still got to be a part of their lives. I was watching, crazy enough, you brought it up. You talking about nostalgia. I was watching the old episode of Chips.
Okay.
In the episode, the father he was so busy trying to get his son to be the best. But when the son came and said, hey dad, can you look at this for me? Can you do this? No, I ain't got time. You see this project I'm working on? This is the project that's keeping money on food on the table for us. And he neglected his child. Yes, he told his child, yeah, I want you to be number one. I want you to be the best and everything. But you could talk to a child, but you have to absolutely show a child that you love them. And so the child kept getting into trouble and whatnot. And and of course, at the end, these shows, there's a moment where the child really gets in trouble. And then the father, I think it was Punch, talked to the guy, was like, hey, basically in something where he was telling him, yeah, you're there, but you're not there.
Gotcha. We were talking about that earlier. One with Dion. Yep. So it's more about action. Just like somebody say, I love you. Well, love is an action. That's just a word. You know what I'm saying? So let's get you caught up right quick. Lamar, of course, you know the rules, watch your language, no politics, don't talk of anything sexual. And the one that I'm adding today, very important. Some of us, you're not in that thing, but you've had children by another young lady. Just make sure there's no bashing of past relationships. We are talking about our relationship with our children. Okay, that's what we're talking about. So, it might be unavoidable, but I might branch off into a little bit, but let's try to avoid that. Let's catch you up on the questions. Okay, yeah. The first fun question. Of all the TV dads in this picture, which one do you connect with the most?
Oh man. Man, it's crazy. You have to take from basically all of them. James, James stood out to me because James wanted what every dad wants for his wife and for his children, to be able to make a living. You got Bernie back over there. You got all those guys basically have. They all
Lamar?
you have to separate, being the father and being, yeah, you're the dad, but you also, with being a disciplinarian, too as well. And I look at I think I want to say that looks like Carlton's dad on the Fresh Prince. At times, he the thing about it, when Will came into the picture, Will absolutely opened up the eyes. I think Will did more for him than he did. Well, it went both ways, but I think that Will kind of like opened up a different avenue, because he was like, if you remember, kind of like the first couple of episodes, he was like on the straight and narrow, but like he kind of opened up like later on to Will, and Will was like, for him it was like oh man, I didn't see it this way. Now I see it this way. If that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Bernie Mac, like I said, the TV dads are the perfect example of the way how things needed to be the new age type father. you know, for you to, I mean, yeah, like even Bill Cosby, Bill taught his children a lot of morals. Like, you know, remember I was talking to my coworker about this episode the other day when he was telling Theo about how to manage his money. You know,
Dion
him
was just
wanting to
talking
get an
about that.
apartment, and yeah, and so the crazy thing about it is that these dads somewhat portray our dads, but they were different. Because like at times, all the dads, number one, were funny. All those guys that you put up, they were funny
Yeah,
with
every
their
last one of
children.
them.
They
Right.
were they were James was more or less like the disciplinarian because out of the group, because James had no problem putting belt to you know what.
Right.
You know, he
Right.
had no problem doing that, which is the way how it's supposed to be, you know. But all those kids at the end of the day, they wanted the best for their children.
Right.
And
Right.
they wanted
I hate to
and
I
they
hate to
and
cut
they wanted go ahead.
No, I hate to cut you off, but you know, we got a few more questions that we got to catch up on.
Okay.
But just
Okay.
to kind of you know, summarize it up, which one overall, you can say 70-30 or whatever, but overall, which dad would you say that you identify with?
Almost definitely James Evans, man.
James. Okay.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
James Evans. I'm gonna say
And
James because my dad was typical James Evans, and oddly enough, my dad's name was James.
okay.
So
Yeah, I
they
remember him.
they were similar. They were so
Right.
similar.
Yeah, right. And I apologize for cutting you off, but you know, I got a few more questions and
Okay, go ahead.
I just gotta make, but I appreciate that input. So
Yeah.
and let me catch you up with the rest of them because you're giving some great answers and some stuff that we could talk 3-4 podcasts about and it'll stay interesting. Just real quick, because we were on question, I think 4 or 5. So let me really quick, like speed round.
Okay.
Second question. Is it easier to raise boys or girls? The old saying goes, mama's boy and daddy's little girl. Do you think that phrase is accurate, or which one do you think is the more difficult?
I don't think it's difficult. I think it kind of like this depends on the structure of who you married to. That's going to allow some things to take place. Like, to be honest, I mean, you know, my son, it was cool. It was cool, you know, raising him. Do I think that he's a mama's boy? It's a possibility. You know, my little girl right now, I think she's gonna probably gear toward probably maybe me. Don't know, but
Okay.
I think it's kind of easy. I mean, like I say, it depends on the situation with the parents.
Okay. I
That makes
accept
sense.
that answer. So let's go to the next one.
Can I say something real quick on that?
Yeah, please.
Typically in our society, though, mama's boy is seen as a negative, and daddy's little girl is you know, so they carry different weights. Is, you know, like, no, I don't think most girls, especially when they're like little, I don't think they mind being called a daddy's little girl. That's kind of like a almost a complimentary thing. It's like there's like a
It's
connection.
cute.
When you talk about mama's
Mhm.
boy, think about we was little boys, or even like teenagers. No boy wants to be known as a mama's boy. That's how fights start. You know, you call somebody mama's boy, that can end in a fight. And then a lot of times it has.
Yeah.
Just saying that, oh, he's a little mama's boy, and next thing you know, you're fighting.
Yeah.
That is a great point. I'm glad you brought that
Yeah,
up.
that is.
Yeah. And I'm sure somebody in the comment section, you know, they're gonna bring up gender stereotypes and things of that nature, and that is fine. I want some people to get on here and give us some alternative points of view. So if you are watching, the link to join is in the description below. And you can I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube. Please participate. Um, Thank you, Dion, for bringing that up. And interject at any time. This is y'all podcast just as much as it is mine. So let's go to the next one. Um, Real quick, Lamar, just to catch you up, what frustrates you more, or what is the greatest challenge about being a father? What do you think is the hardest choice to make as a father? Just the first one off the top of your head. What do you think?
Um, I think what frustrates more is the fact that you instill uh uh values and everything, and then you kind of give your children values, whatnot, and then they still go off and they still do their own thing. But the thing about it is that later on they find their way home.
Mm,
They get out here, and they get out here into the world, and later on they find their way back home. And when they find their way back home, man, that is the sweetest.
right.
That's the beautiful thing. Man, the hardest choices a father can make. Uh, I'm gonna be very transparent. Um, Making a decision, like, if especially um if you're married and the marriage don't work, and
Mm,
there's a possibility that you don't want to leave your child, but it's almost a sense of, like, you might have to.
mm,
And that's pretty much you know where I was many moons ago.
mm. Oh, we see. Yeah, that does get. We need to get off into that too. We're gonna put a pin in that. Somebody, please remind me at the end because we need to get into controversial subjects. So let me ask you this question. Let's just say if it's a scenario where, and like I said, we're going to disclude the woman from it, even though it definitely includes the woman. So let's just say if a man thinks that a child is his, and he grows up, and let's just say the child is 16 years old, and you've been loving that child, taking care of them, doing all kind of stuff, and by some fluke you find out that the child is not biologically yours. Um, what do you personally think? Um, as far as like, is that child still yours? I know it's not yours biologically, but with the amount of emotion and stuff that you put into it, would you still consider that child yours, or would you totally drop that child from your emotions? What are you guys' thought on that?
But can I go first?
Yeah, sure. Anybody jump in.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this: if you do that, that means the love that you did was fake.
Mm,
It was fake, because no matter that child is yours or not, you find out later on, that's a discrepancy that you have between the other party. You don't take that out on the child, because you did what you did, and
mm,
you loved, and you sheltered, and you put clothes on their back, and you most definitely did. So like I said, if you sit up here and you say that, if you get mad at the child, then that means all the love and all that what you did was fake.
mm, mm. Ooh, Dion, what you think about that?
I think that I agree with him. Is that if you love this child and you raise this child as your own and you had a connection, and then you find out, especially because I think the longer it's different if it's like maybe at 1 or 2 years old, because there's not that much time invested. But if at 16, like you said, you put in a lot of time and energy, and you're invested in this child for you to kind of like walk away with means that you have demonstrated that you had conditional love, and you're supposed to, I think as parents, we're supposed to have unconditional love, that hey, we're gonna love our child no matter what, because really now the situation that you're in is that you're no different than a step parent. The only difference is that a step parent knows that that's not their biological child. But if you're being a good step parent, you still raise that child as yours. Is no, like I was giving you an example before. My ex-wife, she had 2 boys, and I raised those boys as my own. I was their dad; those are my sons. Whenever somebody would ask us, "Hey, do you have kids?" I have 3 boys. I didn't say I have like 1 son and 2 stepsons. So going back to what you're saying, it's yeah, for you to do that, that would. I couldn't imagine how you would just walk away. Now, of course, you're gonna have an issue with the mom, but I agree with tell me your name again.
Lamar.
I agree with Lamar that no, this is your child, and the fact that you're not the biological, I mean, what's the difference between that, like being, a stepchild, or the child that you adopted, or your, nephew that came to live with you because, something happened with his parents. And again, it goes back to the role. What is the role that you're playing? And if this is your role, because that has changed, and you get updated on the biological side that, hey, this is not what you thought it was, the role should remain the same.
Right.
Yeah. And to piggyback off what he said, and I'm gonna go back to the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. If you think about it, Uncle Phil was technically Will's dad.
Right.
Like the whole time, like, I mean, of course, we saw in the spinoff, it was something different. But if we going by the show, Uncle Phil was his dad. And you remember the episode, the episode that, him and his dad was supposed to go on the fishing trip and do it, hang out and whatnot. Who was there? Who was there? Uncle Phil was there. And so at times, like I said, we if we are a man and we have a role and we have kids, then regardless if it's your uncle, if you uncle, auntie, whatever, at the end of the day, you're a part of that person's life and you're that person's guardian. So, right. I mean, like I said, man, like I said earlier with the other question, you get out here, kid get out here and mess up. But when that child comes home.
Right. And I think
that's a hard, that episode, I think for me, is probably one of the hardest episodes to watch. That man, that's no matter how many times you watch it, it's very impactful.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, "Why don't he want me, man?" And he just got through screaming at Uncle Phil about, you're not my father and all that. So he kind of, and Uncle Phil, that's what I like about him. He was understanding. You know what I'm saying? Even though Will was shouting at him, it was like, "You're not my father," and all that stuff. He understood what Will was going through, the conflict that was going on in his head, and he was trying to reconnect with his father. And in the end, even though he got screamed at by Will, in the end, he still hugged Will when Will started crying. He's like, "Why don't he want me?" And he reached out to Will and hugged Will and held him tight.
He hugged him tight. He hugged them tight, like yes. A father would do.
Right.
So,
that was y'all ain't lying. That was a great little episode right there. And then there was some other ones too. Where it was talking about this is Marzell. You remember in Family Matters when they found out about their dad and their dad didn't die and all that stuff like that? I don't know if y'all remember Harriet and Rachel. They found out about their father.
No,
I don't.
No.
I watched that show, Family Matters, but not as much as I watched the other ones. So I'm not as familiar with that one as some of the others.
Oh, okay. But yeah, that's a great example in itself right there. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
let's move on to the next question. We, like I said, we can always put a pin on it and get on these things later, elaborate later. But let's get to the next question. What do you think? Some positive. What do you think are the best things about being a father?
Man,
Yeah.
watch it. Go ahead. Go no. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Since
No,
I
I
went
was
first
gonna
last time.
just seeing them grow and seeing that, you know, maybe some of the things that you've taught them and they learn from is like I said, it's like, you know, as coaches, you know, hey, you got a player and you're, you know, from a basketball perspective, it's like you're seeing they're trying to shoot and you're helping them shoot and they become a better shooter because you know you're helping. And it's not, and I think if you're doing it right, it's never about the credit because the reward is them being the person that they're supposed to be. No, and I think most of us we don't gloat on this like, look how great a dad I am and look what I did. It's like no, the greatness is the end product, you know. And it's like, hey, my kid made it into this school, or they did this, or they're living the life that a productive life and contributing to society. That's the reward. You don't have to sit and brag about it. You know, Phil Jackson didn't have to brag about how great his teams were for the proof of the pudding.
Right. Right. Exactly. This is Marzeo. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. So I guess for me, the greatest thing, I kind of go along with both of y'all say it, you know, it's oh no, Lamar, you didn't speak on it, did you?
No.
Go ahead.
No. So, man, the biggest reward, as he stated, was just seeing your child, grow, and be productive, uh, and be a upstanding, um, citizen. Also recently, I had a talk with God, and I asked him. I said, "There's a few things that I want," and I said that I wanted to see my oldest. I want to see my oldest child get married and be successful, and I want to, you know, be around for my daughter and see the same thing. Um,
Mhm.
and have a long lasting marriage and to be very successful. Um, and on top of that, just watching them grow and just just grow and being able to learn from you. And the biggest thing is to be able to come back and say, Dad, I love you after everything that they've gone through. Just to hear those words,
Mm-hmm.
that's real. That's just real to me.
Man,
But
you said it.
but but being able, but like for right now, being able to make them smile, make them laugh, uh, you know, uh, even with my little girl right now, y'all hear her, just to hear her, just to see her laugh and the smile, that's great, for me. If I can do that, if I can make her smile every day, man, that does great. That does wonders for me.
Oh, brother, same here. Don't it feel great? You know what I'm saying? Like it's such a there to me. There's no greater feeling of accomplishment to knowing that you gave life, you helped create life, you sustain that life. You're making it not only sustaining it, but you're keeping it happy. And I'm in my late 40s, and I thought for a while, what I'm saying, like I'm done with these kids in the baby stage. But now, and I'm divorced and I'm dating again, and I'm like, look, if I don't get my vasectomy reversed, you know what I'm saying, I need to find a woman who would, be great enough to the point where she would probably make me want to, you know what I'm saying? Because I would love to go through that stage again, or either, find a woman who has children, you know what I'm saying? But of course, I'm not trying to veer off on the woman's side, because the woman, it's a 50-50 job. So, in order to include, that a life, take care of another life, I need another person who's just as devoted to taking care of another life. You know what I'm saying? For me to go through that wonderful, blissful stage, it's one of the greatest accomplishments to me of being a father. There's no greater feeling. You know what I'm saying? Not these movies that I've been in, not nothing. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. So, just a little tip.
Hey, Mr. Scott, look, what I'm gonna do is I may have to cut out for like a minute or two, but just keep on, just keep on, and then I'm gonna continue and then I'll tell you, peace out, and then I'll be back. I'm gonna come back in, but I just wanted to let you know that.
I think we got a couple of more questions, and we're gonna elaborate on the other ones. Question 5: in your opinion, what choices could your children make that would disappoint you? Are there any?
I don't know. I guess things that would affect them financially, making those really bad financial decisions that some of your financial decisions can take you years to recover from, or emotionally. Like, I guess what comes to mind is like seeing someone that maybe they're in a relationship with, and like it's clear, it's evident that it's like this is not a good person for you, and do it anyway. But I mean, there's lessons in that. It's like some I believe some lessons should be taught and some should be learned.
Yep, that's, oh my God. I'll go ahead, Lamar, before I speak.
I was going to say, pretty much on the same realm. Not believing in God. You know, that, and just trusting and believing. I know that. Well, actually, you know what? That's kind of contradictory because at times, we kind of lose our way. When it comes to that, financially, most definitely, you not being, uh, as you just stated, your son and your daughter being in a relationship, and full well that that person's not right for you. Even though I look at my mom. My mom never did say that I was in a relationship when I was in college. My mom did not say, son, that that woman not good for you. She never did say that. She said it, but she didn't say it. And she was kind of quiet, in that aspect. But just the mere fact that you being in a relationship and it's not good for you, then that's not good. But yeah, like I said, as far as like because there are times when, and getting back to the religion part, there are times when, sorry y'all, there are times when I lose my way, and I have to be wheeled back in. So I can't use the religion piece. But like I said, as far as like the financial part, yeah, most definitely though. Most definitely, no doubt.
Okay.
That's
And I'm glad you brought up their religion because there's a list of them that I was going to put up here, but I guess I'll just kind of spot them out. Some people say, if a child grows up and they get into another religion other than what you were raised or what your parents were raised as, some will let go of religion and spirituality altogether. Some will become in another sexuality. Let's just say if you raised in a conservative traditional heterosexual home and they choose to become gay or bisexual, or let's just say if a daughter or son grows up and I'm trying to keep it PG, but let's just say they make some videos on the internet that they don't have a problem with, but like you would definitely have a problem with these type of videos and the acts that you think are supposed to be done privately, but they're doing it on the internet and they don't have a problem with it. So would you let's just say, would you guys have a problem with any of that? And I guess not to hyper on these things, like to say what's more, and I'm not getting into that, but what I'm getting in, would you like a lot of parents say, I'll disown them, I won't talk to them, I won't love them anymore because they're in a different sexuality, they're choosing a career path, they're of a different religion or lack of religion. So how would you guys feel about that if your children went to that path?
Um, it's a fine line because we all have our standards and other things about what we like, but it depends on what it is, because just because I don't like something or I might not be into that or whatever, that doesn't, that's just my standard. I don't smoke weed, but if my son was smoking weed, that's on him. That's not, I can't, that's his choice. So I guess what it comes down to is it a personal lifestyle choice, or is it something, a morality thing? It's a lot of things. It's like, hey, this is what I like, and that's what you like. With me being transparent, my son is gay, and my son came out to me, I think, when he was maybe 14, maybe 15, and I immediately recognized that. Now, in addition to being a dad and raising this young black male, I got to prepare him for a whole different world, because in addition to some of the default things that might be an issue, societal issues, now he has to also handle the challenges of being a gay person. So that was always my thing of like, hey man, I got to prepare you for the world, and this is that, and equipping him with the mindset of that, hey, I got to be, I told my, like one of the things that I was telling him is like, hey, if somebody don't like your lifestyle, that ain't your problem. They don't like your sexual preference, that's not your problem, that's their problem. But at the end of the
Okay.
day, regardless of if you're gay, straight, or whatever, you still got to be a good person. You still got to know how to take care of yourself. You still got to know how to do like these basic things in life, regardless of whatever your sexual orientation is. And that's what I focused on, is that, teaching them how to cook, teaching them how to take care of the house, teaching them how to drive, all these things like that. Because your sexuality ain't got nothing to do with that. And at the end of the day, I have to realize that maybe the people he hangs around with or whatever, they may be different than maybe people hang right. And they're not bad people. They're actually good people, but it's just, it's just not my circle. I'm not here to dictate to you how you should live your life and everything, because that doesn't work that way with anybody, even our friends and loved ones. I can't tell you it shouldn't work that way. I have to tell you every single way, every way of your life, how you should dress, where you should go, what you should do. Is it like that? No, that's what makes us all different. So you have
Right.
to, be able to make your own decisions, and be your own person. But and as things change, because we're all older. So I'm in my mid-50s. That
Hmm.
my son is 30. Life is a lot different in so many ways for him than it was for me. So I can't hold him strictly to my standard of like, you know, and when I try not to be that person because a lot of us older people, we get caught up in saying, well, when I was his age or when I was his age, you know, yeah, but things is different. We didn't have the world is a whole different place, and we have to, you know, we forget that sometimes that hey, the world evolves, and as the world evolves to a degree, we have to evolve with it. Yeah, you got to have your moral fiber and stuff like that, and that's you know, unquestionable. But things change.
Right. I'm putting that down. As a matter of fact, Lamar, hold, give me 1 second. From
Okay.
because that was going to be my next question, but I'm gonna just give my opinion on that. As far as like child disappointing me or whatever, as far as morality, I think that Dion brought that up. You know, as far as morality and me, my general rule is pretty much, you know, you can do whatever your heart's desire as long as it does not affect the well-being of another individual. So, you know, there's a difference between what you do to yourself and what you do to another person or how you influence society. So if you sit in the house and you smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, that's falls into the realm of healthy and unhealthy. It has nothing to do with morality. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you do to yourself is your business. Of course, I want my child to be as healthy as possible, but that has nothing to do with whatever. Now, when it comes to another person or other people, it comes into consent. You know what I'm saying? So if you doing something you like and that other person likes it and y'all do it together, that's has nothing to do with me. They're both consensual. So whether I like it or not, you know, I can't do anything about it. You know what I'm saying? So I guess my disappointment would come to if they're doing something that's unconsensual, if they're manipulating another person, they're cheating, they're lying to them, you know, and they're, you know, just doing something totally selfish for themselves. Well, they can be selfish, but as long as it doesn't affect the well-being of another person, cheating another person out of money, raping them, doing other stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's where my head is, you know. As far as like their life choices, yes, my children, and even if right now they're doing some making choices that I don't see maybe, but you know, it's still theirs. And I like it when they come with a logical explanation for it. They don't say, hey, everybody knows and all my friends are doing it. I don't respect that. But if you can come and say, hey, here's the reason why or the reasons why I'm doing this or want to do this, then, you know, I think that I can respect that. You know what I'm saying? And another question that we had was about the hardest part of a parent. I guess for me, the hardest part about being a dad and a parent is letting them go. You know what I'm saying? You prepare them for this world and you want to be the lion to protect them. But this is a scary place, especially with our girls. And it's really hard to just let them go on their own and do some stuff, you know. And we know how, you know, crazy this world is getting. And we hear about these Epstein Islands and these perverts. So, and unfortunately, a lot of these men are doing other men too. So, you know, you can't even say, hey, it's just the girls. No, they be abducting little boys too, you know. So priests in the church are doing it, you know. It's a scary world. So I guess for me, that's my two opinions on it, you know. But let's get to the next. We can elaborate on that. But let's get into what Dion brought up. Okay. No, that's not it. Hold on. What is it? Question number 9. Oh, here it is. I guess I don't know why this thing is tickering across the thing, but just roll with it. How have things changed as a parent from when we were young?
Technology is a big part of it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
In so many ways.
Now, yeah. I mean, because now you have access to things in real time, unlike when it was back in the day. You know, now that now you hear about stuff that happened, 20, 25 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and now it's coming to light in 2026.
Mm. Mm. Elaborate on that.
So it's a so let's just say that um like I said, I mean of course, I mean we all have or uh involved with with social media, by hook or crook, we deal with social media, and so we see things that happen, uh even in parenting. um there might be I think now people are free to talk about certain things,
Mm-hmm.
unlike what it was back in the day, because they were
Okay.
scared. They were scared. Like, it might be an old family secret that happened a long time ago. And guess
Mm.
what? Now, because of what's going on, it could be brought down to the forefront, and nobody better not say nothing because it
Uh,
happened. And so now you in a situation where um uh you got things that's happening. That's what I'm talking about, things happening in real time. So now,
mm-hmm.
you can't go to the church right now and gossip, because the gossip, somebody now is pulling out their phone
Mm.
and they're talking about it in real time.
Ah, gotcha.
So a lot has changed. Like I said, even with parenting, you gotta make sure that you gotta monitor your child and what he or she is watching.
Hmm. Yep.
Because unlike back in the day, you didn't have to worry about Bob Barker saying something inappropriate, even though he was doing things unappropriate, kissing women
Right.
on the mouth, and because we never did really look at that. We were like, oh well, that's Bob Barker. Yeah. I watch The Price is Right every day.
Uh-huh.
And so you can't leave your children watching TV, because you just never know what's gonna come out the person's mouth. You never know. You as a parent, you got to monitor that. Is people gonna do what they do. So now, yeah, more so now, more than ever, yeah, you gotta, yeah, the internet and everything, yeah, it didn't change. It's changed. And that's all I got.
Oh, we that was pretty good. Dion, do you have anything to add to that one?
Yeah, the bigger picture when you look at it is that social media, the foundation and what drives social media is it monetizes attention. And for attention, there's all this content and everything to get your attention. So there's an all-out race, and there's no holds barred on what we're given. So that comes down to access. Like, we have access to everything. Like, there's nothing you can't find on your phone that, when I was younger, obviously before the internet days, like simple things, like, as being young boys, 13, 14, and it was a challenge getting a hold of like adult magazines or adult videos. Somebody, you had to know somebody that was old enough to rent them or something like that, but it was a challenge. Now there's, endless amounts of not only sources but the content of that stuff on the phone.
Yep.
Uh, there is. I remember. I worked in law enforcement. I had a career in law enforcement, so it was. I've seen countless dead bodies, but these were like on the scene and stuff like that. Well, now, but that wasn't until I was an adult. Now you can be 12, 13 years old and go and look on your phone, and you can see you can see people getting killed. You can see people, anything that you want to see that you can think of. If a person has done it or doing it, you can see it. You can see plane crashes, people getting killed, people having sex, people fighting, arguing, all these things. And I think one of the bigger things is that we were kids, we were only really influenced about with the things that we could kind of touch, like our friends at school and maybe the people in your neighborhood. But the people that lived one city over or one state over or whatever places you had never been, you weren't influenced by those people because you didn't know those people and they didn't know you. You only were influenced by the people that you had a direct connection for the most part, that you either saw or at the very least talked to on the phone. Now you pull up your phone and you can scroll through TikTok or any of the social medias, and you have access to the world, and the world has access to you.
Right.
And the challenging thing for us as parents, and we come from the pre-internet days, is to monitor and prepare our kids for that, because they're being bombarded with a bunch of stuff that they're emotionally and mentally not able to really process. You know, I couldn't imagine. I tell people all the time, I couldn't imagine what I was like, knowing what I was like at 13 and 14 and having access on my phone to adult content. I would have lost my mind. I would have lost my mind, you know, and all the things. So it's kind of like, it's almost like they have guns, and a gun can be used for good or evil. But if you don't know how to properly use that gun, you can hurt others and yourself with it. So it's like our jobs is to kind of like teach them how to like safely handle that gun, because if not, it's a very dangerous thing. Your phone is an asset if you use it correctly, and it is a great disadvantage and a detractor if for everybody, not even just kids, but us as adults too. It's you know, it's like a hammer. It's like you can use it to build things, or you can use it to hurt people.
Yep.
I use the perfect example every time. Just imagine you getting up Saturday morning and you watching Saved by the Bell, and the stuff that Zach Morris was able to get away with. He didn't even have a phone. Just imagine if that dude had a phone.
Right.
The stuff that he could have done. You know, I mean, you know, like and like he stated, when we have to be the guardians. We have to be on our P's and Q's when it comes to allowing our children to watch different content. You know, you could have easily back in the day, like I said, set your child in front of the TV and watch Sesame Street, because you knew because you knew Sesame Street was not going. They were not going to say anything out of order. They were not going to produce anything out of order, and you could be like, "Oh, okay, yeah, I could leave my child and go wash the dishes and come back, and you know my child gonna still be sitting right there, and I ain't got to worry about it." Unlike now, you can't do that right now, and like I said, I'm speaking on TV and internet. So
Right.
let me quit talking. I see Marzell just popped in here, man. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? For those of y'all who don't know, this is the man Marzell Paler. He's the one that I was telling y'all about right after this podcast. You're still having your podcast today?
Yes, sir.
So we have a triad of podcasts. I do mostly nostalgic TV shows, movies from the 80s and 90s. Lamar does the music. Marzell does a podcast called the Nothing Serious Podcast. And then his podcast deals with sex and relationships. So like I said, there are certain things on this podcast that we cannot talk about, but you probably are free to talk about it on Marzell's podcast. So Yes, he's a little bit looser than me. Let me just catch you up real quick because we got about 30 minutes, 32 minutes left. Marzell, let me just go over the rules just like I did with everybody else. Number one, watch your language, no politics, avoid of talking anything sexual. If you guys want to talk about these things, Marzell's podcast is a great place for that. One thing about these questions today, Marzell, we're not bashing past relationships. So as I ask you these questions, leave. I know that you have a young lady who you had children with. We got to leave her out of this. We're talking about strictly how does it feel to be a father, our relationships with our children, and how we handle them. So we're
All
not going to
right.
go back to the past. So
All right.
let me read you right quick. Oh, some. Can you hear me, Marzell? Hold on. Okay, you there,
Hello?
Marzell? Hello? Hold on, let me
Can
refresh.
y'all hear me?
You can't hear me, right?
I can hear you and see you.
Okay, can you hear me, Marzell?
Okay.
Marzell,
He's spinning.
hold on, let me refresh.
I see him.
You
No.
see him? Can y'all hear him?
Who's the brother with the black tank top?
Yeah, I can't hear you.
Can y'all hear? Can you hear me now, Marzell? All right, Marzell. Y'all hold up 1 minute. Let me refresh. All right, can y'all hear me?
Yep, I can.
Okay, Lamar. Can you hear me, Lamar? Marzell? Let's see. Let's do it like this. All right. Lamar? Uh-oh.
Oh.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Okay. He looks
Yeah,
like
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Lamar.
Okay. I just put myself on mute because
No, it's not you. It's Marzell. For some reason, there's two of them. Okay, Marzell, can you hear me? All right, kick from studio. All right, can you hear me? Marzell,
Hello?
I can't hear you.
I can't
Lamar,
hear you.
Lamar, can you still hear me? Yeah, this is what happens when people.
yeah.
Okay, so you can hear me,
Marzell
Lamar.
too.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
For some reason, Marzell, he must be on mute or something. I don't know what it is. Sometimes with this, you come in late and then it what's the names? Karita Moss, while we got a chance, Karita Moss left a comment. She said, "Hello, everybody," and she left a lot of smiley faces and hearts. How you doing, Miss Moss? Good, good, good. So we're gonna wait but we're gonna continue on because we got a couple of more questions, and then once Marzell figure out what's going on, then we'll go on. There we go. All right, Marzell.
Yeah.
Okay, great, great. We finally can. Everybody else hear him?
Yep.
Good, good. So, Marzell, we got about 30 minutes left. I'm gonna try to do it about 1 or 2 minutes, the response, and I hate to speed round you, but we're short on time.
It's okay.
Okay. So, I've heard, it takes a man to be a father, and a dad can just be a baby daddy or whatever. And then I've heard the opposite that a father is
Nah,
the
I can't
one.
hear you.
You can't hear me? Can you hear me now?
Oh my God.
And then yeah, it happens when Lamar leaves. Let me try this. All right, let's wait for him to come back on. Oh my God. Yeah, that's why I tell people if they can come early. Can you hear me, Marzel?
Yeah, now I can. I don't know what's going on, man. It's just like this StreamYard, man. We gotta do something about this.
I'm gonna make an announcement on that later. Lamar
Okay.
left, and that's why I couldn't hear you again.
Okay. But uh go ahead and ask me the questions.
Okay, so what do you think is different between the father and the dad? I've heard that the baby's daddy is just a biological person who made a baby, and the father is the important one. Then I've heard the opposite: the father is just the person who made the baby, and the daddy is the one who stays active in the person's life. Which one do you think? Which is which?
Well, I think that anybody with a penis can, you know, produce a child, but it takes uh, a father to stand up and be in that role. You know, that's what I think. Like it going to the ball games and taking care of his responsibilities and doing all the things behind the scenes and all that stuff. I think that that's more of a father's doing. I think a daddy is just somebody who just produced a child.
Okay, okay. Let's go to the next one. You got both boys and girls. So,
Mhm.
which one do you think is easier to raise, boys or girls? And I'm saying this because there's a saying that says "Mama's boy and Daddy's little girl." Which one do you think is the easiest to raise?
Boys, but by far,
Why do you think the girls are more complicated?
because the girls are more expensive, they're more emotional, and it's with me being a single father, man, I have to play both roles sometimes, and I can't. I don't have the first idea of what it's like to be a female growing up. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's very very difficult for me.
Right, right. Um, I know this is a hard question. It probably takes more thought than what we got. But what
Mhm.
frustrates you more about being, or what is the greatest challenge about being a father? One is one of the hardest choices as a father you can make, and just kind of off the top of your head, just
Well, as far as what?
the first thing that pops off the top of your head.
Okay. Well, the most challenging thing with being a single father is, when you don't have a support system. You know,
Mm,
that's really hard. When you don't have anybody to step in and watch your kids so you can work extra hours or even if you want to go on a date. I'm fortunate because my kids are older, but when you don't have a support system, man, that shit I mean, that stuff is really really hard. It's really
right.
really hard. Like, even with the financial things and stuff like that, if you don't have a support system, it's gonna be hard for you to make it.
Man, you said it right there, man. I would so agree. I'm glad you brought that up too. That's a great point.
Mhm.
Um, let me see. Okay, so what do you think is the best thing about being a father?
I would say the best thing about being a father
Mm-hmm.
is that when you see the work that you put in paid off, like when your kids graduate, when they get their jobs, when you see them uh, exceed academically and all that stuff, you know. And then let's not let's not forget. the tax money too.
Dependents
That
1, 2 through 6.
yeah, yeah. That makes everything worthwhile.
And you always got that one relative be like, "Hey, can I claim one of your kids as a dependent?"
Man.
Because like,
Now
look
you
here.
said we can't say you said we can't say nothing about baby mama, so I'm gonna leave that one alone.
We're gonna say that for your podcast. I'm giving you some ammunition today.
Oh man.
Here's a good one. I've kind of combined a lot of them. You probably answered some of these questions, but in your opinion, what choices could your children make that would disappoint you?
You know what? What would disappoint me is if my kids grew up and didn't want to just to do anything. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, didn't have any ambitions at all. Like, that would really disappoint me. Like, like I all this time I put into getting you out of school and you just don't want to do nothing. That would really
Hmm.
disappoint me. You know.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
I mean,
Um.
because I have sons, and the last thing that you want to see your sons do is just like not do nothing, not be about nothing. You know what I'm saying? Just be, you know, running the streets, not doing anything for themselves. You know what I'm saying? Not able to take care of themselves. That would be very disappointing to me.
Right. Right. I totally feel you on that one. Um. Let me see. We covered that one. Oh, here's one. Dion. So I'm gonna start with the new questions. The rest of them, Marzell kind of answered. So I know we're running short on time. So let me start with this one. This is a controversial one. Um, Spanking. Do y'all consider that child abuse or good form of punishment?
It depends. Uh, my stance on it has always been, it depends on what it's for because you can't whoop your kid for everything. But the bigger issue you have is not being physically abusive. And there's a difference between spanking a child and being abusive. And I can tell you, somebody that worked in law enforcement, a lot of times our stance, and it's funny because the general consensus amongst, I'm gonna say most of the people I worked for, we were all for spankings and whoopings. We would, and sometimes we would tell parents, it's like when you go to a call and their kids acting up, it's like, yeah, you need to whoop that kid. But the thing we'd also tell them too is don't leave any marks because unlike times have changed. We talked about that earlier. I grew up in the era where you could go to school with like whelps, and other stuff on you, and the teacher would know, like, oh, you messing up. But not only that, but I went to school at a time and in a place where you got whooped at school. So if you went home and you had whelps on you, you got whooped again because you did something. And if you got whooped
Mm-hmm.
at home, the teacher knew, but there was no mandated reporters and stuff. So moving forward to being in law enforcement, I've gone to many calls where even the child sometimes will tell you, yeah, I was out of pocket and I should have got whooped. But the problem is that you got a light skinned kid and it's going to show up visibly. Then these people, especially because they don't have law enforcement knowledge and perspective, so they're just doing their job. They see it, they report it, and it opens up a whole can of worms of all these things like that unnecessarily in the overwhelming majority of the cases where it's like, yeah, there is abuse. I'm not going to dismiss that. There is abuse and stuff, but a lot of times it wasn't. So I say that to say is that, if you're going to discipline your kids physically, you have to be careful with that. But I think at a certain point too, it ages out at a certain time. Like you shouldn't be having to whoop your 16 and 17-year-old kid. It should you should at that point have a way of getting through to them and controlling them that is not physical. I think really for the most part are for younger kids like 7, 8, 9, like that age. When they get into like 15 and 16, if you if you've evolved as a parent and this kid's evolved and you still got the reins, you shouldn't be having to whoop your kid, you know. And the truth be told, if your kid is, you know, 16 and they 6'1" and 220 pounds, what is the whooping gonna do for him?
Right.
You waste
Right.
your time. All you're gonna do is be tired.
Right. Right.
I mean, what you gonna do? Fight them? And that still might not even work. So you shouldn't really have the sorts of physicalities at that age. It should be other means that you can get through to them.
I agree on a lot of these points. I'm gonna elaborate on them after Marzell gives his opinion.
Okay, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, so I believe in spanking your kids, and I believe there's a way that you do it. Now, I agree with what he said about leaving bruises and all that stuff. You can't do that. As a matter of fact, I have at some point whooped my kids and got a little angry and left a bruise, and I was like, I I have to figure out another way to spank them or do something to punish them to take things away, because that's when you start getting into the mandated reporters reporting you and all that stuff. So I stopped that a long time ago. I haven't whooped. My youngest child is 10, and I have never whooped him. So that goes to show you how much I have changed as far as my disciplinary practices. All I do is talk to them, and I'll uh, uh, take things away from them. You know, like I'll punish them and all that stuff. That's the most of that I'll get. Now, there are certain circumstances where there needs to be a belt or something, saying that needs to be presented. But other than that, no, I don't believe in spanking my kids at this point in my life. But
Mhm.
at one point, yeah, I did. My kids used to get it. Like it was because that's the way I was raised. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, it was in the 80s and 90s. If that's the time you were raised, that's what you were getting. You were getting spankings and all that stuff. I mean, at one time in school, they used to hand out paddlings.
I remember them days.
Yeah. So, that's what we grew up on. So so it was a little it's like I said, there's a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? There's a way to spank your kids. Like, you don't have to use a physical punishment to get through to them and all that stuff. And that's something I had to learn. But at the same time, there are some circumstances where physical punishment is necessary. Like, because I be seeing some of these kids and talking to their parents like crazy.
Hmm.
My kids are asking me like, "Dad, what would you do in that situation?" I was like, good damn well what I do in that situation.
Right. Exactly.
Can I check something real quick? And you can make me think of something.
Yeah.
And we had a question about who's easier to raise, boys or girls. And this further adds to like my sentiment of like boys are easier because from a dad's perspective, I can get physical with my boys, and in the three boys that I raised, I didn't really have to get physical with them, but if I needed to, I could, and I wouldn't feel bad about it. But a good friend of mine told me something one time, and this was before I had a daughter, and I always remember this. And he said he never puts his hands on his daughter because he never wants her to think that it's okay for any man, no matter who it is,
Mhm.
your brother, your dad, your boyfriend, your husband, to put his hands on you. So I think
Mhm.
that adds a different context on it, especially when they're like teenagers. So when I'm dealing with my 15-year-old, I never get physical with her. I can talk to her and I can be stern with her, but I don't want her to think that it's okay because I'm upset with her. I love you, but I'm upset with you. because in abusive relationships, that's what a lot of abusers will say is that, you know, I love you, but you piss me off. It's like that, and that's just my take on it.
You know
Right.
what? And the thing is, like, I have like my daughters. I have two daughters. Um, One is older and she's out the house, but my other daughter, um, she's 14, and like I they get away with murder, like you know what I'm saying, like they can get away with stuff that my boys cannot, and I'm sorry to say that there's a difference, but the thing is, it is a difference when it comes to your daughters and all that stuff. But
Right.
I have got I have got physical with my daughters though, with under the right circumstances. You know what I'm saying? Like who you talking to? You know what I'm saying? Like like it's just one of those things. But for the most part, they don't get the treatment that my sons get. Cause I feel like you have to be harder on boys, especially black boys. You know what I'm
Mm.
saying? I'm not gonna dive into that too deep, but you know, they're they're. I'm trying to think of a way to say this without being politically incorrect or whatever. But you know, you have to be hard on your sons because the world is hard.
Right.
You know, and
Yep.
they're harder on your sons because of the way the world is today, man. So, you know, I don't I I I'm hard on my sons so they'll be used to it and they'll know how to do be in society and do things the right way. You know what I'm saying? They won't be in trouble with the law and all that stuff. So that's the reason why.
Right. Now, my opinion, I guess, a lot of people say whooping is child abuse, and if you have to whoop your kids to discipline them, you don't need children. I don't agree with that. I have certain opinions about people who say that, but here's the thing biologically, okay? And they say you should talk to your children, like the gentleman was saying, Dion was saying. Um, when you're younger, it's totally different than when they're older, and not every living organism can respond to communication, verbal communication, but every living organism responds to external stimuli. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, biologically speaking, if a child, you tell a 2 or 3 or 4 year old quit touching that, quit running in the thing, they don't. Some of them might not listen, and we find out a lot of them have not disorders. I would say, different learning disabilities. I hate to call them like that, but some of them we find out can't listen to verbal commands. But I bet
And
you they'll
look,
respond to external stimuli, whoopings and
look,
stuff. So,
look. This is what I say. We could be in uh, a different country, speak different languages, and one thing that is universal is a butt whooping. Everybody knows that they didn't got their butt whooped if they didn't been here somewhere and somebody put some hands on them. They understand that they might not know what you're saying, but they know what you're doing. Okay, and that right there is universal is a butt whooping. Okay.
right. And a great example of that boy y'all heard about him who kept spray painting cars and doing crazy stuff here in America. He kept getting away with, kept going to jail. He went over
Hmm.
there to Thailand. They tied him to a pole and whipped that boy's butt. He ain't committed no crimes ever since. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, right, that got him straight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you can
He
talk to
see
your
a spray
child,
can. He see a
yeah,
spray
spray
can
can,
to
yeah,
start. He see a spray can to start running the other way.
right. He was like, "Ooh, no," grabbing his butt.
Yep.
So I'm just saying, If you could talk to them, talk to them. If you can
Yeah.
cut off the Wi-Fi to punish them, fine. Take stuff away. But all this, you go to a child in the urban area already struggling, say, "Hey, go stand in the corner." He gonna make you stand in the corner. You know what I'm saying? So it's different strokes for different folks. No pun intended. You know what I'm saying? But I just don't understand the whole. It should be an option. It shouldn't be the only option. You know what I'm saying? But to say that it's child abuse, and like you were saying, Marzel, just me personally, I see the results from those who are undisciplined, who don't discipline their child, and you can tell that they don't firmly punish their children. You know what I'm saying? And you can see the
Yeah.
results, and it makes it harder on the rest of society. And I even have
Yeah.
some, I hate to get very controversial, but so I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. 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 Because this is a this is a touchy subject. You know what I'm saying?
mm-hmm,
And everybody has their different opinions and all that stuff. You know, I just think that when it comes to punishment, I think it just depends on the child. Because
mm-hmm.
I can talk to some of my kids and I don't have to worry about doing anything to them. But some of my kids, yeah, you need to put hands on them
Right, right.
because
Uh,
talking don't do it.
exactly. Yeah, well, different child, different strokes for different folks.
Hmm.
I want to give a shout out to Karita. She says when we were talking about male, which one is harder to raise, male or female, or boy or girl? She said to me, I would say both have its challenges. Karita also said because boys they tend to get rough and girls have more attitudes and act. So this is another female agreeing with us. For those who will say, they're sexist to say that women are more emotional, I know things a lot. There's exceptions to every rule, okay? But generally speaking, this is another female, confirming, women have tend to be more emotional. You know what I'm
You
saying?
know what? And the thing is, you know what? And I know you don't have boys, Venaris, but
Mhm.
um, boys, they are you have to basically spank them when they're younger, okay? Because that's when they do most of their activities. Most of my boys when they got to about 7 or 8, I whooped them less because I was on them from when the time they was walking. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do
Mhm.
this and don't do that, and constant correction. And all I gotta do right now is give my sons a look, and they know what that look means. Like, you know what I'm saying? And they stop what they were doing, and they'll correct themselves because they remember when I used to tighten them up when they was younger. But now with my daughters, the older they're so sweet when they're younger, but then when they start getting into those teenage years, they start mouthing off and start saying stuff, and
Uh,
it just saying make a little slick comments. So yeah, it takes on a different turn. But I think those daughters are way worse than sons.
okay. Two more questions before we go, and one's for Marzel. Um, which father is you think it's more closer to your personality or your style of parenting?
Oh, for sure, Michael Kyle.
You think Michael Kyle?
Yes, yes, for sure, man.
And why would you say that?
Because like if if I'm always like with my kids, like I'm sarcastic. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when they try to come up with something, I have my own little agenda, and and we'll laugh about it later. That's the reason why I can say that me and him are kind of like alike, Michael Kyle. And then on top of that, man, like I'm a little bit more lenient on my kids, um, with certain things. Like if it's funny, you ain't gonna get in trouble. If
That's
it's funny,
cute.
you won't get in trouble.
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with that too. Yeah, if it's funny, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna have to be something really, really bad.
Yes.
But if the humor will probably get you out of it. It's especially
Yeah.
because I know how what type of student I was at school, and I was
Yes.
a challenging student. So
Right.
fortunately, I guess for me as a dad, my daughter is a really good student, and her conduct and behavior is top notch. Which I can't say the same for me, but if somebody came to me and said, "Hey, your daughter said this or that," if it's something that's funny, I might act concerned, like, "Oh man, I can't believe she said that," but I'm gonna be like, "Oh, that was hilarious."
Yeah.
Kudos for the laughter, huh?
Yes.
Last question, and then we're gonna get off into. We actually got 2 minutes. What advice would you give a man who is about to be a first-time father?
Hmm.
Anybody jump in?
Um, I guess I would say prepare your train your not train, but prepare your child, pour into your child with the mindset of that you're preparing them for the world. Like think of your life and give them all the good things that you had, but you're preparing them. You're preparing them for life. It's like you want to be the dad that yeah, you're preparing them for life. It's like you can be friends with them later, but during that time, especially under 18, it doesn't matter how close you are and stuff like that if you've ill prepared them. So your job is to whether it's and boys and I always say I'm with my daughter. I'm teaching by me being a dad to her. I'm showing her how a man should be to her, what a man should be like to a woman as far as the way he treats you, the way he talks to you, other stuff like that. And then for my son, I'm showing you how a man should be. This is what a man does. This is what, and I'm trying to, some of it is by example, and some of it is like I'm teaching you like this is the type of person you should be.
Ah, okay, okay. Mazel.
Um, I would say for one, like if you're gonna be a father for the first time, I would the advice that I would give to that person would be everything that your father wasn't.
Mm,
You know, if your father didn't make time for you, make time for your kid. You know, um, if your father wasn't there or emotionally available for you, be there emotionally available for your child. Um, I would also say, you know, kids don't might not remember every dime you spend on them, but they do remember all those quality times. Like when you take them places and you do things with them and activities and all that stuff, they're gonna remember that for the rest of their lives.
mm, mm. I will agree. I will
So
agree.
so that's what
Yeah,
and
I agree too.
that's universal for both male and female children. You know, you put that time in and do things and activities with those kids, they're always gonna remember that. You know, so that's what I say.
Okay,
I
okay,
agree. Yeah.
okay. And I guess just uh, let's just kind of sum it up or anything. Do you guys have any further comments, questions, anything additional? Because we're actually out of time, but I'll give a few more minutes. It's not like I'm paying for studio time. So, any other thing you want to wrap up and say that we didn't cover?
No, it's a good. This is a good topic. And
No,
this is one of those topics that it's almost an endless topic because fatherhood deals with so many things. I mean, it really touches upon everything in life. Finances, the mentalities, emotions, every aspect of life is fatherhood touches. If you're doing it right, if you're doing it right, it touches everything. There's almost like really there's no anything that's like any topic or anything that's like off limits that's associated with it, because your kid can come to you and ask you about anything.
Yep.
Right. Right. That is true. Any final thoughts, Marzel?
Um, well, what I would say was that fatherhood is one of those roles that goes um I'm not gonna say unappreciated, but it's not. There are now a lot of fathers who are stepping up to the plate, but there in the past there wasn't fathers who stepped up to the plate. So now we're getting our just due. Because like, do you ever notice when you like on Mother's Day, every place is packed. You
Mm-hmm.
can't get into a restaurant, but on Father's Day you get right in.
Yeah.
Right. Right. That
So
that
it
that's
goes back. It goes back to what Chris Rock said. All Daddy get is a big piece of chicken. Uh, he, don't nobody go and say thanks, Dad, for knocking his rent out,
Yeah.
or thanks, Dad, for knocking
Yeah.
the light bill out this month. You know what I'm saying? So we don't get a lot of love when it comes to holidays and all that stuff. But I can say that one of the most rewarding things in the world is being a father, man. And I think that you shouldn't take that for granted.
right, right. Like I said, I would love to, if it never happens, but if it happens again, I love the whole, doing a fatherhood, but I'd have to, like I said, find the right mother to, you know, get with to do another child with. It reminds me, what you was just joking about, what Chris Rock was talking about. Everybody has positive songs about mama. Dear mama, I love my mama. What do we get as men? Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Yep, yep. That's all.
So in short, I guess I'd say if I had to give advice to a dude who's about to become first time father, and if you had to sum up fatherhood in 2 words, it would be self-sacrifice. So there's gonna be times you be like, "Hey, I need this," or I still want to, do this. I want to do that. You've made a child. You have a life. You have to give up. I'm not saying 100%, and you should always make time for yourself. Okay, or you would go mentally insane. But once you decide to make a child, you have made a life. It is your job to take care of that child, and their well-being should be what brings a smile to your face. It shouldn't be my own happiness anymore. You know what I'm saying? You
Yes.
had plenty of fun saving this for Marzel's podcast. You had plenty of fun creating that child. I'm sure you did. Okay, so now it's time to have fun taking care of
You
that
should
child.
have. If you didn't, you should have.
Yeah, exactly. Don't matter whether it's 20 minutes or 2 minutes. Like I said, I'm gonna say that for Marzel's podcast. By the way, speaking of which, when is your podcast, Marzel?
It's today at 2:30. So tune in.
Is that Eastern?
Eastern. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. Y'all get on his podcast, is right there in
Hey,
another
can
city.
can you get me the link, or can somebody get me the link?
Most definitely.
If you guys don't mind me joining you.
I will get you the link, man. And I'll have Vanars give it to you.
Okay.
Yep. Like I said, guys, this is totally different. I'll probably be on there too. Like I said, I try to keep this family friendly. This one, what Dave Chappelle said, don't bring your kids. So
Yeah.
before we get going, I know we're over time, but I gotta do some announcements and stuff like that. Hold on. I'm not sure. StreamYard is acting real stupid. They're charging per week and they're getting super expensive. So, what somebody had told me, with the way that I'm doing these podcasts, it shouldn't be a podcast. It should be just a bunch of guys hanging out together talking. I don't know. When we get into like what Dion said, semantics with definitions. So, um, I'm not sure. I might do TikTok live. TikTok, I'm getting super popular on TikTok. So, and with StreamYard and YouTube, I'm still kind of struggling. So I'm not sure. I might still do the whole StreamYard thing. I don't know, but I'm just giving y'all a heads up whether I'm going to change or not. Uh, for those of you who don't know, I have a series. It's called The Legend of Gomeroy. Episode 3 is in production, so it's taking me a little bit longer than I thought it did. I will play you guys the trailer for episode the last. Well, it's for the entire series actually. So just give me another minute to play that.
It's all right. You're safe now.
And that is the trailer for episode 2. Episode 3 is coming out. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Um, and episode 3, it's gonna take me probably another week. So if you guys know of any editors or anything, let me know. Yeah, I need some help. I got an excellent editor, but he has a busy schedule as well. Um, let's see. Uh Once again, Dion, that's the link for Dion. Tell me more for those who just tuned in. Tell me more about your business, what you do, all those things.
I produce music for just me, a lot for myself, but I'm really starting to work with other people. I had a cousin in Indianapolis, so I'm getting ready to collab with him on some stuff. And so I have some music out now. So if you go to the music is under my name, Dion Ingram. And it's all the platforms. You'll find it. You'll see it. I got a new song. It's been out for about a month called Rain Man that I produced. Somebody else is singing on it. So it was written by someone else and sung by somebody else, but I produced it. And I'm here now in my studio. My studio's at my house, and this is where I, work on my stuff. So,
Oh, brother, that's nice, brother.
yeah. So,
Man. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely have to collab with you on a lot of stuff.
yeah.
I'm still getting a lot of stuff together, but look like you got your stuff together.
Yeah. And it's I try to spend as much. Oh, go ahead. I try to spend as much time as I can in here. So this is my this is my passion. It's not even a hobby. I have my business, Ding Music LLC. Like I said, we produce music, and I'm always looking for people to collaborate with, whether it's other producers, but especially like musicians and songwriters and singers.
Okay. Okay. All right. And I'll definitely, if you guys check back with me on my Crane Style Forever, I'll be linking up with him. I'll be sharing his videos on my page and stuff like that. So, there's his email address right there. Um, and like I said, Lamar Hicks, the guy who was here earlier, the L Dog Just Like Music podcast, he has a book out right now. Let me get the picture of that. Different Skin, Same Silence. Check that out on Amazon. You could just Google it or whatever to find his book. As well, I could not leave here and talk about fatherhood without giving a shout out to my late father, Venari Scott Sr. He was definitely a super soldier. He was in Vietnam. He was part of the Walking Dead. They called that regiment, the Walking Dead, because they did not expect them to come back. He was shot. Of course, he survived. And, he was there for a whole day with his battle buddy, his deceased battle buddy in his arm, and he got out of Vietnam and he joined the army. He did all kind of stuff in Clarksdale, our hometown. So I got to give a shout out to one of the greatest, to my opinion, the greatest father that has ever lived. My dad, Venari Sr. Okay, so just want to give a shout out to him. Other than that, once again, as well, Marzel's podcast is in about an hour. So, it's 2:30 Eastern time. So just calculate that, but it's about an hour from now. Marzel, you want to say anything about your podcast before we close out?
Oh man, nothing. Just it's going to be some heavy topics this week, and all those who want to join in, man. It would be greatly appreciated.
And also, as well, if you guys want to connect with Dion, if you want to connect with Lamar, or if you want to connect with Marzel, you don't have to go searching around. You can just, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook right now, message me and I'll get the message to them. You know what I'm saying? So if you forget and you're like, what was the guy's name? Just say the guy who was on with the glasses on your podcast. Well, it's 2 of y'all with glasses. 3 of y'all with glasses. I'm not being very Pacific right now.
The older one or the younger one?
Right. The one with the beard or the one with the tank top, so yeah. Any shout outs or anything y'all want to do before we get out of here?
No shout outs.
Okay. So just want to thank number one, Karita. Oh, I'm sorry. Dion, what'd you say?
No, I said I'm good. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to thank number one, Karita Moss, for all the comments that she's been giving today. I want to thank Dion for joining us today. Your opinions and your insights were quite valuable. You definitely can always be a part of the KRANE Style family, Marzel's family, Lamar's family. Marzel, I surely appreciate you. Thank you, brother, as well. Thank you, Lamar, for joining, as always. And I'm gonna get off here because Marzel has a podcast he's got to get ready for. You guys have a good Saturday. Take care.
What time?
2:30, so an hour from now. I'll shoot you the link or whatever through text message or whatever. So Marzel, get that link to me as soon as you can so I can send it to Dion.
I sure will.
Okay.
All righty. So an hour from now, I expect everybody watching to be on Marzel's podcast. So just kidding. But if you can, he greatly appreciate it. But all right, take care, y'all.
All right.